archaeological team of just 4 people, which covers around 14,620 square metres.
So I'm down just below Dumbuk Quarry at a Kranok, only exposed at low tide. Humans would have been living here about 2,000 years ago.
There are some things in this world that truly defy explanation, and you can only believe they exist when they're caught on camera. Today, we're diving into the strange and unexplained, from alien objects and as one to natural phenomena at 13 no one has ever seen before.
In many ways, these Wangina figures look exactly like gray aliens.
These are the most mysterious discoveries ever made, caught on camera. Let's jump right in. 1. A strange beam from the sky. On the night of July 29, 2023, a team of investigators set out to Moon Lake in the UN2 basin to explore reported Bigfoot activity. They were equipped with advanced technology, including Kraken radar, a multi-spectrum camera, and an infrared camera when they began their surveillance. Once they got to this lake, they suddenly began picking up unusual readings on their equipment.
And when we get extra hits of this, we consider that energy that's coming from the phenomenon.
Their muon detector started registering significant hits. For those unfamiliar, muons are small forms of energy, and spikes in readings are related to paranormal activity. Around 1:10 a.m., the team witnessed something absolutely crazy. Caught on the multi-spectrum camera was this strange beam of light descending from the sky. This light was invisible to the naked eye. Like and subscribe right now, and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week. Only observable through their specialized equipment. It wasn't moving, remaining frozen 200 feet above the ground. These guys have been chasing the mystery of this light for years, and there's still no answers. And it's not just moonlight filtering through the clouds. 2. A man who never existed. In 2009, an older man with gray hair arrived in the coastal town of Sligo, Ireland, by bus. He checked into a local hotel under the name Peter Bergman, carrying with him 3 large pieces of luggage. Over the next few days, surveillance cameras captured him, leaving the hotel with a filled plastic bag, but returning empty-handed each time.
He would have that each time that he left the hotel, going out in and around Sligo.
On the 4th day, he traveled to the nearby village of Ross's Point, where his body would later be discovered, washed up on the shore. It wasn't until then that people realized Peter Bergman was a fabricated identity. His clothing had the labels meticulously removed, he had no identification, and the cause of his passing remained undetermined. Despite global scrutiny of the CCTV footage, no one has been able to uncover the true identity of the man known as Peter Bergman. 3. Aliens in a Mexican cave. A video recently surfaced online showing what appear to be sculptures of extraterrestrials supposedly discovered
These Wangina figures in the cave art.
deep within a cave. The sculptures are eerie, to say the least. Those oversized black eyes, bizarrely shaped heads, and slender, almost skeletal fingers. If they're not aliens,
In many ways, these Wangina figures look exactly like gray aliens.
then what are they? These figures look straight out of a sci-fi movie. But that's not all. Alongside these alien-like figures, there were carvings of spaceships etched into ancient stone blocks. Even wilder, there are sculptures depicting aliens casually hanging out with humans as if this was a past reality. It gets even stranger with the depiction of ancient humans seemingly suited up in space gear. This video came out right around the time that a scientist named Roberto Pinotti claimed an alien had befriended a group of locals in Italy. According to Pinotti, this extraterrestrial visitor landed in 1957 in the small Italian town of Francavilla. Unlike the typical alien narrative filled with fear and invasions, this one was different. The alien didn't come to cause chaos or perform experiments. Nope, he just wanted to hang out and make some friends. The alien even wore sunglasses to blend in. Pinotti said that this friendly alien allowed 2 people to take photos inside its UFO, but only one black and white image has survived, and it shows what might be the alien sporting a pair of shades. Talk about a close encounter of the casual kind. 4. Sea Monster Island. We can't make this video without mentioning the legendary sea monster island. According to ancient tales, sailors once mistook a massive creature in this area for an island and anchored there, only to realize too late that they were actually anchored on the back of a living, breathing beast. Descriptions of the creature vary, with some calling it a gigantic turtle and others a monstrous whale, but the stories are eerily similar across different cultures. Some modern scholars think these legends may have been inspired by real, though exaggerated, marine creatures, but there's quite a lot of footage out there showing us that these sea monsters exist. 5. The UFO wreckage mystery. Next, we have an unsolved puzzle straight out of science fiction. UFO wreckage, well, at least that's one of the theories. In 1973, some construction workers in Romania were digging near the Mureș River when they stumbled upon something strange buried 33 feet underground. They found bones from an extinct animal, nothing too out of the ordinary, except for a curious third object. It wasn't bone, but rather a piece of manufactured metal. But how could that be? After all, it was unearthed from prehistoric soil. The scientists who examined it found that it was composed of 90% aluminum, a metal that doesn't exist naturally in its metallic form. Humanity didn't even figure out how to produce metallic aluminum until the 1800s. So how did a chunk of this modern metal end up buried alongside ancient bones that were nearly 100,000 years old? There was no question. It had to be a piece of UFO wreckage. What's even weirder is that soon after this piece of metal was found, a Romanian monolith suddenly disappeared. 6. A coin from a parallel universe. Here's a tale for all the alternate reality enthusiasts out there. About a decade ago, researchers at the Pontifical Catholic University of Peru stumbled upon a peculiar coin during their work on an old money analysis project. At first glance, it was a simple 10-cent piece, dated 1899. No big deal, right? But here's where things get odd. Official records show that no 10-cent coins were minted in Peru that year. In fact, by all historical accounts, the coin simply shouldn't exist. Could it have slipped through the cracks of time, falling from an alternate dimension into our own? Before you dismiss that idea, consider this. When scientists analyzed the coin, they found it was made of materials inconsistent with how money was produced at the time. It wasn't made of silver, as Peruvian coins should have been. How did this impossible coin come to be? And could there be more out there from timelines we can't even imagine? 7. Emerald Lake. Nature works in mysterious ways, and so does the Emerald Lake, which is located in New Zealand and is literally a body of water cratered in an extinct volcano. Nestled within the Tongariro Alpine Crossing, this striking lake gleams with vibrant, otherworldly shades of green due to dissolved minerals from the surrounding volcanic terrain. Its shockingly colorful beauty contrasts with the dull volcanic landscape, making it a truly surreal sight, especially from up above. What a tragedy it would have been if we never invented drone cameras and couldn't see it from a bird's eye view. 8. Toshiba Chair Space Project. One of the most unusual and captivating experiments ever captured on film is the Toshiba Space Chair Project. In 2009, Toshiba sent an ordinary chair into the stratosphere to demonstrate their high-definition cameras. But the sight of this lone chair floating above the Earth against the vast blackness of space has left many viewers puzzled and intrigued. But how did they even achieve such a strange feat? The chair is still floating about upright in space, and no one understands how. Well, let us be the first to tell you, it's because there's a weather balloon suspending the chair in place. 9. The Island of Pines. In the heart of the South Pacific lies a seemingly serene island in New Caledonia, known as the Island of Pines, which harbors one of the world's most baffling archaeological mysteries. But it's a strange place if we really get into it. Scattered across the island are 400 weird-looking mounds, known as tumuli, standing about 10 feet tall. These mounds were initially mistaken for natural formations until researchers in 1959 decided to investigate, uncovering a mystery that defied historical understanding. Beneath the grassy mounds, they found layers of gravel, and at the core, massive blocks of solid concrete, each 8 feet tall. What makes this discovery so strange is that the quality of the concrete matches modern standards, but these blocks date back a whopping 12,000 years. According to historical records, humans at that time had yet to master the technology for concrete making, let alone the advanced methods required to create such massive structures. Even more strange, there's no evidence of human life on the island from that time. It doesn't even stop there. Beneath the concrete, researchers also uncovered strange cone-shaped iron structures, their purpose unknown. This mysterious site has left archaeologists scratching their heads, and to this day, no one can explain who or what built these structures or why. 10. Missing bones. Prehistoric Sweden offers its own mystery. Archaeologists recently unearthed a 5,500-year-old tomb, but what they found inside was nothing short of bizarre. Instead of intact bodies, they discovered skeletons missing their smaller bones, particularly from the hands and feet. What's even weirder is that it seems family members were the ones stealing the bones after burial. Was this part of a ritual? Were they making jewelry from their ancestors? The answers remain unknown. One of the most fascinating parts of this discovery was a prehistoric dolmen, a tomb built with large slabs of rock found at the site. Dolmens have been discovered worldwide, from the Sahara Desert to Korea, and their similarity, despite the geographical distance, is mind-boggling. What are we missing? 11. Mysterious sword. Inscription. A 13th century sword discovered in the River Witham in the United Kingdom has left scholars scratching their heads for over a century. The sword, which now resides in the British Museum, features an inscription written in gold wire and inlaid directly into the steel blade. However, the string of letters has baffled historians and cryptographers alike, as no one has been able to decipher its meaning. What's really strange is some self-proclaimed witches are coming forward and claiming these are spells intended to bestow mystical powers upon the wielder of the sword. Others suggest it could be a religious blessing or simply the signature of the sword's maker. Despite the best efforts of researchers, the code remains unbroken. Recently, the British Library even invited the public to try their hand at cracking the mysterious inscription. But so far, the sword has kept its secrets. 12. The Barabar Caves. The Barabar Caves, located in the Jehanabad district of India, hold the distinction of being the oldest surviving man-made caves in the country. These ancient caverns date back to around 322 BC, at the dawn of the Mauryan Empire, and were likely commissioned by Emperor Ashoka himself. Despite their impressive age, no one knows much about them to this day. Many of the caves appear unfinished, and there is little evidence to suggest that they were ever even used. One of the most famous caves in the complex is the Lomas Rishi Cave, which features a grand archway and intricately carved elephants at its entrance. Another notable cave, the Sudama Cave, was supposedly built as a sanctuary for Buddhist monks, yet no signs of habitation have been found, so why were these things even built? And why do they feel so unfinished? 13. Ominous cloud. What you're seeing here is one of the rarest and most mysterious natural phenomena on Earth. The strange morning glory cloud formation. Stretching across the horizon like a rolling wave, this eerie cloud appears out of nowhere, often at sunrise, leaving scientists puzzled and sky watchers in awe. This cloud formation can stretch over 600 miles and move at speeds of up to 35 miles per hour, and yet no one fully understands why or how it forms so perfectly. It's been spotted in only a few places around the world, mostly in the remote Gulf of Carpentaria in Australia, making it a true gift of the skies. 14. Extraterrestrial jewelry. Now let's venture into ancient Spain, where a hoard of treasure, known as the Treasure of Villena, was discovered in 1963. Among the stunning artifacts from around 2200 BC were bowls, bracelets, jewelry, and trinkets. But the most intriguing pieces weren't the ones made of gold or silver. Two specific objects, a bracelet and a hollow sphere, stood out. because they contained iron that came from a meteorite. That's right, these ancient artisans used materials that literally fell from the sky. Scientists were even able to trace the iron to a specific meteorite called the Muonyonaluster, which struck Earth millions of years ago. What's unclear is whether these Bronze Age people knew they were working with extraterrestrial material, or if it was just a crazy cosmic coincidence. 15. A sculptural army. In 1974, local farmers stumbled upon fragments of what turned out to be an enormous buried army while digging a well. What they uncovered was a hidden treasure, over 2,000 life-sized ceramic soldiers, each one unique in its design. And this is just the beginning. Archaeologists believe there could be as many as 8,000 warriors still waiting to be unearthed. For decades, the terracotta army, uncovered in the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, was thought to be preserved by an ancient, mysterious technology. Many believed that the Chinese had mastered a chromium-based technique that shielded the bronze weapons from corrosion. It seemed like an astonishing discovery of advanced, ancient knowledge. However, recent research has cast doubt on this theory. As it turns out, the real secret behind the preservation lies in the soil itself. The alkaline conditions of the burial site have naturally prevented corrosion, rather than any sophisticated technological breakthrough. 16. Yangshan Quarry Megaliths. In 1405, Emperor Yongle of the Ming dynasty embarked on a grand project to honor his father, the dynasty's founder, by constructing an immense mausoleum. Craftsmen from across China were brought to the Yangshan Quarry to carve 3 colossal stone blocks that would serve as the centerpiece of the tomb. However, the project soon ran into a huge problem. The megaliths were way too large to be transported. It's not like they had planes and trains to make it happen. Today, the unfinished blocks remain at the quarry, a painful reminder of the emperor's over-ambition. Researchers still wonder how the emperor planned to have them moved in the first place, and it brings to mind the building of the pyramids of Giza. It's become a popular architecture school exercise to draw up plans for how the building may have been completed given all the limitations of the time. 17. The Lion Man. Let's start with something extraordinary. The Lion Man, an ancient and mysterious sculpture unearthed in a German cave back in 1939. At first glance, you might think, well, it's just another old statue, right? But here's where things get wild. This figure, standing tall, with its arms resting at its sides and legs slightly apart, appears to be a human figure with the head of a lion. Its intense gaze, even in its weathered condition, seems to be staring beyond the centuries, focusing on something none of us can ever fully comprehend. This sculpture isn't just some ancient piece of art from a few thousand years ago. No, sir. The Lion Man was crafted a full 40,000 years ago. It's been carved from the tusk of a woolly mammoth, an animal that roamed Europe when massive prehistoric lions also prowled the lands. Scholars speculate that the merging of these two powerful creatures, the mammoth and the lion, wasn't just for artistic effect. It's one of the earliest examples of religious symbolism representing an ancient deity, a god that could have been worshipped long before we ever thought humans were capable of such complex thoughts. 18. The Rocky Valley Labyrinth. Tucked away in the serene countryside north of Tintagel in the UK, the Rocky Valley Labyrinth carvings present yet another ancient mystery. These intricate carvings, which can be found near an abandoned 18th century mill, are believed to be around 4,000 years old. The designs etched into the rock resemble labyrinths,
These carvings are only hundreds of years old,
which were popular in medieval gardens, but their true age and purpose is something none of us can figure out. There are several theories about the origins of the carvings. They were made thousands of years ago and bear striking similarities to other carvings found in distant parts of Europe, such as Spain. What's crazy is that the carvings are far too clean and crisp to be that old, and look as if they were created with metal tools, which only came about 2,500 years ago. 19. New Neolith. If you thought the ancient world began with Sumerian civilization about 5,000 to 7,000 years ago, you might need to rethink things. A recent discovery in Jordan has unveiled a Neolithic complex that's at least 9,000 years old, and it could be even older. This place is like a time capsule filled with evidence that rewrites our understanding of early human civilization. French and Jordanian archaeologists have documented the site extensively, and they believe it was used for rituals, possibly related to the hunting of gazelles. But what if these rituals were more mysterious than we think? In 2013, scientists discovered what they called desert kites, long stone walls used to funnel animals into enclosures. From these traps, they uncovered campsites used by hunters. The discoveries snowballed from there, leading to the unearthing of a ritual complex featuring 2 massive stone carvings, one of which they named Abu Ghassan. Standing almost 4 feet tall, it depicts a mysterious human-like figure alongside a ritual altar and a collection of marine fossils and flint tools. What does all this mean? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Even experts are scratching their heads. They speculate that sacrifices might have been made here, with animals from the desert kites being offered to unknown gods. This ancient civilization likely even had its own advanced religion and culture, long before many others even existed. 20. Ancient rock art. In the remote Konkan region of western Maharashtra, India, lies a hidden treasure of prehistoric artistry. Spanning across 5 villages, this mysterious landscape is adorned with countless ancient rock carvings, known as petroglyphs, which are estimated to be around 12,000 years old. These aren't just a few random sketches. The region boasts thousands of intricate carvings, many of which remain hidden beneath layers of grass and soil. In fact, much of this artwork has been uncovered purely by accident. From detailed depictions of birds and human figures to abstract marine creatures and puzzling geometric designs, each petroglyph tells its own unique story. But here's where the mystery deepens. No one knows who created these works of art. Archaeologists suggest they may have been made by a long-lost civilization, one that existed long before recorded history, possibly around 10,000 BC. What we do know is that whoever these people were, they were hunters and gatherers, as no images of farming activities have been found. The strangest part is the depiction of animals that never existed in the region. Among the carvings are what appear to be hippos and rhinos, creatures that the local inhabitants could never have encountered in their daily lives. How they managed to so accurately portray animals from distant lands is a mystery that scientists are still struggling to solve. 21. True magic. Here's a question that might have crossed your mind late at night. Was magic ever real? Throughout history, magic has always been a part of human culture, from ancient spells and curses to divine rituals and enchanted artifacts. Our ancestors believed deeply in the power of the supernatural. But was there something more to it than just myth and superstition? One fascinating example
Describe the mineral as being made of an elemental combination of both air and water.
comes from a discovery made by archaeologists in Serbia. They unearthed skeletons that were over 2,000 years old, buried alongside scrolls inscribed with curses written in ancient Aramaic. These scrolls weren't just casually tossed into the graves either. They were carefully placed inside small amulets, and the inscriptions were meant to bind the curses to the souls of the deceased in the afterlife. Just like wearing a smartwatch today, carrying a magical amulet 2,000 years ago was all the rage. Back in ancient Greece and Rome, people would commonly use these kinds of spells, hoping to influence the outcomes of everything from sports matches to love affairs. Think of it like a fan casting a magical spell on their favorite athlete, hoping for victory, or on the opposing team to ensure defeat. A lot of TikTokers claim to have successfully used these spells today. 22. Dumbuk Kranok. In July 1898, a man named William Donnelly stumbled upon an archaeological site that would stir up controversy for decades to come. While walking along the north bank of the River Clyde in Scotland, William noticed some wooden stakes and timbers randomly jutting out of the ground, forming what appeared to be a circular platform. Intrigued, William began to investigate further and soon uncovered the remains of a wooden dock, a platform, and even a logboat. Clear evidence that this site had once been a prehistoric settlement. But it wasn't just the infrastructure that caught William's attention. Scattered around the site were small stones and shells that had been carefully carved to resemble human figures or strange, human-like being. These objects didn't resemble anything that had been found in the region before, leading William to believe that he had discovered evidence of a previously unknown civilization. He claimed that these artifacts were at least 2,200 years old, but not everyone was convinced. Unfortunately for William, many accused him of forging the artifacts in a bid for attention. His reputation was tarnished, and the site was dismissed as a hoax. To this day, the authenticity of the Dumbuk Kranok artifacts remains a subject of debate. So which of these mysteries has you scratching your head?